Hello everybody, it's Ken Faulkner and I'm here with more collection videos, part 2, going from least expensive to most expensive in my collection. I hope you're finding this interesting. I am finding this interesting actually. You kind of, when you really stop and look at what's going on with your collection, it makes you kind of understand uh, yourself and your whole, this whole journey of collecting a little bit better. I was surprised that I had so many knives under $30. Had 30 knives under $30. I was kind of trying to do it in bites of about 25 ish. I'm a little bit closer this time, but I had to cut it down to the range between 30 and 40 in order to get it to 22 knives. I started with 30, I think it's 30 to 50, and I was over 40 knives. So down in this budget range is where the majority of my, as far as I can tell, just getting into this, where the majority of my knives are. Um, if you look at over time, I've been buying knives, more expensive knives, but yeah, like I say, I collect and I don't tend to remove very much from my collection. So let's get into it before this gets too long. Last one was 45 minutes. I'm hoping this will be less. CRKT. There's certain brands that you're seeing as we start out lower in the range. CRKT is one of them. And I was buying a lot of CRKTs towards the beginning of my collecting, to the point where it's one of the knife brands that I have the most knives of. I have one case that I put all my knives that are have the most quantity per brand into, and CRKT has snuck into that one. Certain ones that you would expect, like Kaiser and Civivi, are there. Cold Steel is there. But CRKT hasn't really been so much, although it seems like they've really turned around a little bit, and I like to see that. Some of these brands and are coming out with things that are more appealing now, so there's a chance that things will go that way. Lanyards. You're watching my collection video. I'm kind of putting it all out there, and you're kind of getting an idea of what I look for in knives, because I'm spending money. So, I mean, some of them are giveaway knives that I've won. I haven't won a giveaway in a while. I'm kind of hoping that I can change that. And it's right at this time when I'm waiting for Blade Show and I can't buy knives. Anyway, I'm rambling again. The Pilar. This was a gift. So it's one of those kind of things. But it was on my wish list, and that's how I ended up with. I like this knife a lot. CRKT. I love that blade shape. Pretty much a sheep's foot kind of shape with that tip that comes down in front. And it does have the finger hole. It took a while to get to the point where I could actually, and I can't do it consistently even when I'm not on camera, but I can get that flick going. Smaller knife, but it does have that forward finger choil. I've said it over and over again. That does kind of make a smaller knife more accessible to me as far as wanting it. And so this still puts this one in a category where I will carry it, and I do enjoy carrying it. Nice thick blade stock. It's a little out of the ordinary, I think, for CRKT, but it does have a great tall flat here. Not 100% flat, but very tall. And short blade. Performing wise, cutting wise, it doesn't stand out so much. It does have copper scale on one side and steel on the other side, but I do like copper. I really like that patina. I think it's very cool. Like I said, lanyard. I got this one in a giveaway, so I don't normally buy lanyards. I buy them more for like my keys and things like that than I try to dig out of the pocket. But anything with a clip on it, Normally, I'm not using a lanyard, but this is smaller, so when you're holding it in your hand, you kind of have that little extra. Even if you choke back, you kind of have that lanyard to kind of hold on to. And the look, I mean, I couldn't go away from that. So this is one of those rare ones. You're not going to see a lot in my collection with lanyards, but I'm not 100% anti either, so that's just the way it is. So there it is, the Pilar from CRKT. Moving on, next one in the list. Oh, the price on that, $31.99. And let's say the steel is HCR 13MOV. Last set of knives, you saw a lot of stainless steel. That didn't really say what it was, 440. You saw a lot of D2. I like D2. But D2 is definitely obviously a budget steel. There's something about it that it shows up a lot in, and it shows up a lot in this list. But then we're starting to see more 14Cs, 28N rolling in here. We're actually going to see an S35 coming in later on, sneaking into that lower budget. All right, here we go. Next is the rake, which looks like Ruick to me when I read the name, but it is rake. And this is, I had another knife that was a lot like this that I ended up giving away in one of my giveaways. It kind of reminds me of a Sabenza kind of look. This one a little bit less than the one that I gave away. It's still pretty cool, stainless steel, so we're not talking titanium or anything. And it's keeping that price point down at $32. It's a good, just a basic knife. It's a little thin for me, a little flat and slick for me, but I love the blade shape with that drop point. We're getting a little bit of corrosion there on the edge. This is a 14C28N. Flipper seems to work better than the thumb studs. Thumb studs are kind of have that step down sort of thing, so it's a little hard to get a hold of it. And sometimes, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but when I pick up a knife with not the best action on the thumb stud, after I've done it one time, so the first time I'm flicking it out, and now see I'm having a problem, but it tends to get a little bit better as you go. Rake. This one is called, this is another one of those ones that doesn't really have a real name. It's the RKEP801-SF. Who's going to remember that? Not me. That's why I got my spreadsheet. The steel 14C28N, I think I mentioned that, and 3209. So there is a rake. Not a ton of rakes in my collection. QSP, here we go. We're starting to get into some of these knives that are super popular. And this one definitely fits in that category. You all know what this is, I think. This is the Penguin. If you haven't, then you don't really watch any knife YouTube. Or you're watching those high-end knife YouTubes that would never bother with these knives. I kind of like it. I like the grinds on here. We got the vertical and then the horizontal on the flat. This is such a great knife for the price. So this one I have down as 3209. This was a very early version. You know, they got so many versions. I think this is the Blue Jean micarta. And it's gotten darker over time, which I like. Thumb studs on this one work really well. I mean, so you got to say QSP knocked it out of the park on this design with the sheep's foot blade and good size. Fits good in the hand. It's maybe a little shorter than I would like, but it works. And it's certainly a great backup knife. Great cutter. It really performs well. So it is definitely one that gets pocket time. You know, some of these ones in the lower range got pocket time back in the day, but lately it's maybe a little less often. Let's see, what's the next one? We're on the Civivi, so we're hitting up some brands here. Civivi Riffle, that one's another classic. You don't hear about it as much nowadays, but right when I was really getting into knife YouTube, I heard a lot about this one, and it took me a while to get one. I actually won this one, I think, from Apex Alchemy. but I was really glad to win it because I always had it on my list and thought about it. I said, maybe I should buy that one. And then something else popped up. And that's the way it is a lot of times. There's so many knives that I've had on my wish list at some point or another and just haven't made it into the collection, even though I do tend to buy a lot of knives. The riffle is very cool. It's got this great hole for flicking it out. It works really good. My card is not the grippiest, but it's definitely got grip. It's a VV quality. They always like, there's centering is, looks like the centering is a little bit off on this one. Jimping is really good. Yeah, great knife. It's got the flipper tab if you like that. And our steel on this one is going to be 14C28N. I don't think I mentioned that this one, this Penguin is a D2. It's just the way it works. Things slip my mind, and then they pop back in, and I'm trying to cover everything. But we got a lot of knives to talk about, and here's one that would make Manufacturing cringe. This is the Rosecraft Blades Mohawk. A lot of people jab him about this. He kind of put this one in a very bad light at one point. I remember a lot of people were kind of bashing it, but I couldn't in the comments. I had to say that I do like it. I do like it. I think the main thing that he had a problem with is the D10 is weak. It's not horrible. It's definitely not as snappy as some things, but you can see I'm snapping it out fairly well. It's got a good size. Feels great in hand. Scab loves this knife. Harpoon. It's a great work knife. It's comfortable. You feel the clip, but you know, I'm used to that. It's not really a problem for me. Rosecraft Mohawk, line to lock, D2 blade, micarta handles that have great grip. Great grip. And the price on this one is $32.95. If I didn't say the riffle, price on that was $32.66 on my list. Obviously, I looked this prices up, and then obviously when you go into different companies, you're going to get different things. This is just what I found when I was filling in my spreadsheet. Back to CRKT. This is a knife that I bought. I was on I do some field service trips where I'm out in the field. I'm working on stuff, and in general on trips, I do tend to, you know, knives are kind of like somewhat central in my mind. So I do like to buy a knife, and I remember the knife. Part of the story of the knife is where I bought it. So I was in Illinois, a little small town. I was looking around. I actually was looking at a Buck 110, and then this one here. Buck 110 was at this like some kind of more of a farmer store. I forget the name of it, but I think Farmer was in the name of it. But this was actually at the Walmart near the hotel. And I've always heard about the M16. I didn't know that much about it, but then I ended up with this smaller version because I saw it was the M16, but this is the M16 -01KS. Since then, I've actually realized that there's a much larger version of it. It's got a good blade. It's got that blacked out. What's our blade steel? HCR 13 MOV. So frame lock. It took a while to get this to the point where it had the kind of action that you got, but you're not really dropping. I mean, really pushing it closed, but I am able to flick it out. It's stainless steel for the liners. Definitely got all those holes in it. Not the biggest fan of that, but it does reduce the weight. It's a tiny little thin knife. Long. The length of it's pretty good. I like it. The length of the handle's not bad. I'm falling off a little bit. But as far as this direction, very tiny for me. And so it doesn't feel as good in the hand as some of the other ones. But anyway, this one might make its way into a giveaway at some point. In fact, I've marked some things for giveaway, and this is one of the ones that's on that list of possibly going out. And, you know, some knives I have in my collection I wouldn't send on a giveaway because I could see myself not really even wanting to get it in a giveaway. But this one, I could see it. I mean, even though it is used, obviously. And it wouldn't be the only knife. It would go along with a new knife. But anyway, that's the CRKT M16-OKS. Next, we got the... This one's a biggie. You may have seen it in the thumbnail because I had them all out there. This is the Boker Mermaid. Boker Mermaid. And in the theme of the mermaid, this was a gift. My girlfriend. I didn't win it on a giveaway or anything like that, but my girlfriend did get it for me. Watching old Blade HQ, one of the channels I used to watch quite a bit right at the beginning, and really learned tons of stuff. Back when Zach was on there, and they had a really Ben Peterson was on there. They had a really good set of people there, and I mean I haven't watched it as much lately. I'm not besmirching them at all, but I just don't. I'm not as familiar with the channel nowadays. I tend to be more into smaller people like myself who are just trying to, you know, just have fun. I've learned a lot more than I needed to back then. I learned a lot back then, and now I kind of feel like I kind of have a decent amount of knowledge about knives, so I kind of moved into smaller niche kind of channels. Boker Mermaid is an epic knife. You love it or you hate it. 440 stainless steel blade. It's got a frame liner lock. Liner lock. It's got a flipper, which is a flipper. How many knives can say that? You got the mermaid on there. This is just a fun knife. It's one of those ones back then where I was getting into just the whole excitement of the thing, and felt like I needed this. Mentioned it to my girlfriend. She picked it up for me and surprised me with it. It actually does. It does work, and it does actually feel good in the hands. It's got a nice long. It locks in. My hand fits really well in this section. If your hand's smaller or bigger than mine, it may be a problem for you. It works really well for me. It does cut 440. 440 is a good steel. Used to be the Primo when I was a kid. It's on washers, I believe, because it feels like washers, and so the action's not as great. Flipper works well. There's no other way to actuate it, but it's a crazy looking knife. All that anno and just fun. So, Mermaid. I know some of you are out there cringing and hating on it, and that's okay. We're allowed to be who we are and have opinions that we have. Kubi. This is a brand that's in my. I told you about the case with brands that I have a lot of, and Kubi is in that case. I haven't bought as many lately, but they definitely are still a company that I am interested in. This one's called the Chubby. I've mentioned before, especially on that last video, that some of my early buying, and this was an early buy. I didn't even realize, who Kubi was at the time. I just saw it on Amazon and bought it. It's a little smaller, but actually for a small knife, it's got good feel in the hand. Short blade, but tall. Tanto. Definitely, I've used this a lot because it's solid. So I've taken it on trips where I know I'm going to be doing some working and some cutting. It's good for traveling and gets the job done. I think this has got to be G10. Let me check it out. Yeah, it's G10, but man, look at that. It's got a cool look. I like a G10 that kind of has a because it's like layered when G10 is made, it makes it kind of look like wood. And the texturing is very good on this. It's short on the hand, no choke up, unless you just put it up on here and just grab it with the last 3 fingers, which I can do that grip. But yeah, great knife. The Chubby, funny name too. From Kubi, price on that one is $34.95. Still very inexpensive. Next, I got a buck on the channel. Still, another thing with these cheaper knives is that I haven't really gotten into USA made knives yet. I did have on the last one, I had that Japanese knife, that folder, that friction folder. So there's some stuff that's not China, but this is one of the bucks made in China. I think I was really impressed with this. I saw this. Don't remember who it was. It was somebody like a Singing Toad or somebody along those lines that showed it. And yeah, it's got the back lock, and it's a little hard to actuate, but you can get it one-handed. And then the flicking action is not that good, but I was kind of impressed. I like the little pop of green on the backspacer here. Stainless steel scales. Am I getting confused? All right. Hold your horses, guys, because I have the wrong. I picked this one up, but in reality, and I'm not going to do the whole video over again, but in reality, now that I'm looking at my spreadsheet a little more closely, this is the knife. This is the buck knife. Sorry about that. Wasting time, making it longer than it has to be. This is a buck knife. This is one that was given to me as part of like a clean out of relatives' tools and old knives. This is a buck slip joint, and this is the 372. 372, but this one is made in China, and I believe on one of the knives, it does say, if you can read it, I have such bad luck with getting it to focus in on text. One day I will, but that does say China. It's got that shield with the hammer hitting the nail. And this is an older one. I kind of tried to do a little bit of research on it, but I don't have big knowledge, but I do like this knife. It's very, very cool. Don't have too many of the double bladed, this one has a clip point and a spade blade. It's got wood handles, but it is, like I say, made in China. Apparently, back when this was made, they were making a few there. This looks good quality, though. I mean, as far as the back springs, I don't see any gapping. We're not dealing with any half stops here, but it does snap pretty well, considering it doesn't have any half stop. But there's still got some good snap to it. Okay, so crisis narrowly averted. This is $34.99 or 95. $34.95 for this buck. You're talking about, because I started looking at my spreadsheet and it said wood handles. Okay, that does not have wood handles. So as I'm collecting this, is a lot of work getting this all together. Wood handles, China. Don't know the blade steel on it. Probably just 440 or something along that 440C. I don't know. Anyhow, moving on. Got to get this done. Kershaw. Mentioned Kershaw earlier, or I think I did. Maybe I didn't. Kershaw is one of those brands that was pretty popular years back and kind of fallen to the wayside. I think I was thinking about how CRKT is now putting out some stuff that's better and starting to draw my attention, whereas Kershaw is doing the same thing now. This one I was kind of interested in because it is, if you can read that, it is a Hinderer design. It's got 8CR, 13 MOV. Obviously a dagger with a false back. It's a dagger shape with a false edge. This is not a double-edged dagger. Kershaw, spring assisted. That's part of the reason why I'm just not that interested in them, or wasn't. And now they're starting to come out with some that are not assisted, which I think is awesome. I think the days of the assisted knife, we're going more towards either full auto or full manual. That's the way it's going. So I'm glad they're kind of picking up on that. This is pretty cool. The flipper is like part of this guard here. And then when you go to close it, you can push it with the guard. or you can push it on the back of the blade because it is not sharp. This one is called the Decimus, and HCR, I mentioned that. Dagger, I mentioned that. Grivery scales. This almost feels like a rubber kind of feel. Not super excited about that. It's got some weight to it because it's got the stainless steel scales. Probably no milling. I don't see any in there. But I do like a knife that actually has more weight. So that's the Decimus. Price on that one is $35.44. So we're moving up in our price range. Next, this next one is a company that I'd never heard of until this was on a giveaway. Tim's School of Fish, Rush Deer. So I think this is one of those ones that you can get on Amazon. You never know with these Amazon blade companies or knife companies. Sometimes, like you look at what some of the companies that started out kind of like seemed like maybe they were cheaper knives or whatever, start doing some better knives, and then other ones kind of fall to the wayside. This thing has the coating, but it's kind of off a little bit on that tip. That's the way it came to me. So I think there's some issues. Carbon fiber, which is cool, but it is super slick. It's got that kind of cool look to it, and it's got that orange pivot collar, but it's super slick. So this is one that I've talked about before that I keep in my car just to have around. It's not one that I would carry around in my pocket, but it's nice to have a knife just in case I somehow forget to have a knife or just need that convenience of just grabbing it out of that center console. Cold Steel Finn-Wolf, next knife. Oh, the Rush Deer price on that is $35.99. Cold Steel Finn-Wolf. Another one I won. See, I used to win a lot. In fact, I used to like get a lot of comments like at lives and stuff like this. Say, oh, Ken's here. He's going to win it. I had a run there where I was doing pretty good. And I don't know, last win I had, it's been months. It's been definitely months. I can't even tell you how many. This is a great work knife. Cold Steel. This one is still going to be a Chinese-made one. It's the OS 8A that they do so well. Oh, not Chinese. I'm sorry, Taiwan. Just like Cold Steel. I got to fix that in my spreadsheet. I'm finding out these little errors as I go along. The handle material is what they call the Griv X, which is probably just a gravery with a little bit of specialness from Cold Steel. I like this Scandi grind here. Very cool. It's got the more of the flat back kind of look. Feels great in the hand. Good knife. I won this one from Billy from Apex Alchemy. Next, we have another very interesting knife that is not from China and not from Taiwan. This one is from Germany. And I've done videos on this one before. This one it's called the Mercator Black Cat. My girlfriend, this is actually my girlfriend's knife. There's a few of them that I have listed in my spreadsheet that are from her collection. She likes all these shows about murder mysteries and whatnot, and she saw that this knife was like on something about a serial killer. So she calls it her serial killer knife. If I was a serial killer, which I'm not, I would probably choose something a little bit more aggressive, like something Jason would carry or somebody like that. Anyhow, this is, again, kind of that folded over. It's a little more quality than some of the other folded over steel ones. It does have a lock on it. Interesting kind of back lock. Nice, basic, very simple design, but a good quality knife. I mean, when I first got it, I thought it was a cat that was on there. And, you know, now then I was, because this is coming from Otter Messer, then I go, oh, it's an otter. But then I find out it was the name of it's Black Cat, so it is probably a cat on there. Anyway, just going through my whole confusing mind story on this knife. But actually, a very cool knife. Moving on. We're more than halfway there. And 30 minutes. Oh, gosh. I ramble. Kaiser LP won this one. Actually, not won. It was a giveaway. I mentioned Vu Pham. He's got a new knife, by the way, coming out. Collaboration with Megaron called The Vein. It should be out on their website if it isn't already. Take a look for that one. Vu Pham's awesome guy. My first blade show that I went out of town was up in Utah, Blade Show West. My first one was in Long Beach, which I just drove to because I'm very close to there. But Utah, they had an after party, and Vu Pham was very cool to make sure I got into that. It was the funnest after party I've ever been to. A great bunch of guys. Some of these guys I've met, and I see them at the blade shows every year, and we kind of reconnect, and it's fun. But this knife was actually in the goodie bag with like a t-shirt and things like that, and blew me away that they were just kind of giving away a knife. It's called the LP, one that I wasn't familiar with, but it is a very cool kind of a long sheepfoot knife. Good micarta, great grippiness. Sheepsfoot or Warncliffe. I'm never quite sure. This is the first 154 cm knife on the collection videos here. So we're getting up into a little higher quality. I think 154 is, I'd see it kind of close to D2, but I think 154 has got a little more stainless to it. So I think it's a little bit more premium. Very popular with Kaiser. Great knife, great action. Flipper only, but that's okay. And it's kind of thin and narrow, kind of almost gent light knife like. So yeah, great. I was blown away that was in the giveaway. LP, it goes for $37.50. Next one I got is another CJRB. Feldspar, the Feldspar. That one has some great patina on that micarta. I mean, it really looks cool. It looks like it's been used forever. And even the blades kind of, yeah, no, it didn't look too bad. I think I cleaned this up one other video that I did with it. It's got the D2 blade, made in China. Still haven't had a USA made knife on here yet, but it's coming. Believe me, I got a lot of them. Great blade shape, very pokey. I like a pokey knife. Tall flat, cuts really well. Oh man, back when I got this one, which is a long time ago, I really liked it. I carried it quite a bit. It's got great action. Thumb studs are awesome. Yeah, great knife. Ergos are just so good. I love the way this comes down and then kind of rises up to hold your finger as you're using it. It's got that swell in the back, reversible pocket clip. Throw it on the ground, it can handle it, or on the table. I don't know about the table. I think it's getting a little abuse over time here as I've been using it as my studio for my YouTube videos. Let's keep moving. We're getting closer to finishing this up. Asher knives. This was a giveaway, and like I say, I'm getting surprised a lot by doing this collection because I see that I used to win a lot of giveaways. This one, though, was won by my girlfriend. She started, after Blade Show Atlanta last year, she got to know Bees and Mrs. Bees. She started watching the lives. You'll see her, and there's Vicky B. And she won this one. And I was screaming and yelling when she won it, and she thought I was just faking her out. This is one of the top dog giveaways, Asher knives. This one is called the Flashback. I wasn't really familiar with it. This is a really great knife, as are all the Asher knives that I've experienced. G10 back spacer. We're talking S35VN, and the price on this one unless I made a mistake like I did with the other Asher that I own. $39.50 for S35VN Asher knives. That is amazing. Very cool, basic knife. Almost looks like a traditional, but it does lock. It's got the liner lock, that nested kind of liner lock. Works great. Got the Asher clip. Really good, deep carry. Awesome knife. I try not to, take this out of my girlfriend's collection. She is very kind and willing to let me borrow her knives whenever. But yeah, that's a great knife and a great price. Here we go. Another classic, kind of like the Penguin. You've seen this all over the place, especially in a lot of size comparison videos. Ontario Rat 2. This was a big deal back early when I was starting to really get into the collecting. This is the R2D2 because it is the Rat 2 with D2 steel. I think they had ACR or OS8 or something like that before that, and they made a big deal about the R2D2, so I had to have it. Lots of billboarding on the blade. I don't know. You know how, like, back when I was a kid, hardly anybody had tattoos except for, like, servicemen, Navy guys come home with those anchors on their arm or whatever. Now everybody's got tattoos, so I kind of look at this billboarding almost like a tattoo, like Microtech will have it all over the blades. It doesn't really bother me that much. I'm pretty easygoing, I think. I do have my opinions on certain things, but other things, it doesn't make that much difference to me. The detent on this isn't super strong. Doesn't really bother me too much. I do like a good detent, but it's not the end of the world. This has got great jimping on the back. Thumb studs work really well. This one is $39.50, getting closer to that $40 price point. But we still got a few to get through, so let's move on. $39.84. Sorry, that's what I have it listed at on my spreadsheet. All right, another fixed blade. So I had the little minimalist last time. This is definitely a bigger one. Probably have to zoom out a little bit in order to get it all on camera. This is a BPS knives, and this is made in Ukraine. And I wanted to buy this before the whole Ukraine war. It has nothing to do with that. Scabs talked about it. Other people have talked about it. It just, I do like fixed blade knives. I don't invest a ton of money in fixed blade knives. This has got a great price. Price on this one is $39.99, right under that $40 price range. We're talking about 1066 steel. So it's definitely a carbon steel. You can see some little dots on there. I'm going to have to oil this thing up before I put it back away. But yeah, this is a great Scandi grind on there. Good quality, very much a 90-degree spine. And you get this really cool, I love a leather sheath. Kydex is cool too. But I don't know, leather and wood handle is kind of my jam a little bit more. Just, I feel like, maybe because I'm an old guy. It's got this little ferro rod on it, so you're going to get, I don't even know if I've ever tried to use it. Maybe this will be the premiere. And hopefully I won't burn the house down. Girlfriend's not here, so what she doesn't know won't hurt her. Okay, there we go. We got the spark. I'm not going to go any crazier than that. But I like the fact that it does have a ferro rod. I do use ferro rods quite a lot, even when I could just use a lighter, just for fun. And the fact that it's got that 90-degree spine is a cool feature in a knife. Great feel in hand. Little steak knifey-ish. Sometimes they can get kind of narrow, the length versus the width this way. But no, I think this still kind of qualifies to me as, looks like I marked it up from just striking that ferro rod. Not a problem. Oh no, it wiped off really well. Anyway, BPS knives, great price on Amazon. So you can get it pretty quickly. You don't have to wait for it to come all the way from Ukraine. Didn't have to fight through Russian, you know, troops to get there. Next, real steel. This one, I had heard about real steel and hadn't had one, and I can't remember exactly where and when I picked this up, but I like this knife. It's funny. It's super light. It almost feels like you could bend the blade with your hand. But the action on it, it just boom. And it's got that tanto, kind of a dual grind on the front edge there. I really like this knife. This is kind of more of a gent knife. I have some gent knives. I got one coming up here in this part of the collection. Very grippy here. Yeah, deep carry clip, very deep. This is one that I have carried in like a shirt pocket type thing, you know, at work. It looks kind of more like a pen, but this is bigger than a lot of what people might consider good for that kind of thing. But I like bigger knives anyway. Good length on it, good in the hand, even though it's not super tall this way. At least it's got some width. Yeah, great knife. What are the specs? Is the G5 Metamorph Tanto liner lock 14C 28N. G10 handles, great grippiness, made in China, and the price, if I can get this thing that just popped up on my computer out of the way, the price is $39.99. Okay, moving on. We're almost there. Next one is a Rose Craft Blades. Where is it? There it is. I showed this one before. I got this one Blade Show or Blade Show West. I can't remember where. When I got it, I noticed that the detent was pretty weak and the play is there. It doesn't really bother me, but it definitely has some blade play. Just contacted Andy about it. He said, yeah, they kind of made this as this is an Andy Armstrong design. He's got his maker's mark there. You can kind of see it, even though it doesn't really focus too well in there. This was, and I was talking to his wife, who's really cool, very nice person. She wanted to have, I think this is a Barlow, is what she called it. I'm not an expert at that. Kind of like a long Barlow. I don't know. Anyway, it kind of has this faux bolster, which is all G10. But she said she wanted to have a locking version, so it's got a button lock, a locking version of one of those knives. So I think he kind of did it for her. Yeah, he kind of said, yeah, this just, you know, this is an inexpensive knife, and he kind of did it as almost like not his normal thing. So, you know, it is what it is. But it works. I mean, you can definitely get the action going. It locks up. I don't know about... Never been good about actually getting these things to fail. And I don't really care that much. But it does have that shield like a traditional. So it's kind of like the traditional with a little locking type thing. With a clip. Not too deep carry. Yeah, it's kind of a cool blade. They gave me a great price for it. This one was $39.99. And moving on, we've got two more to go. One more CRKT, the gent knife of gent knives, the CEO. Oh yeah, can't get that. I really wish that I had the flipper version. Although I'm not really a flipper guy so much. Yeah, I can get it. And this is one of those ones where, like the first time flicking, especially when it's been, I don't carry this very much. It's so thin. It's almost like a fillet knife. I mean, you can kind of feel it bending as you're doing this with it. It does have the carbon fiber and the brass on the bottom there. I think it's brass or copper. Maybe it looks a little bit too dark for brass. I think it's copper. Anyway, you can get it to work, but man, because it's got one thumb stud, which I don't like. I'd rather have one on both sides. and I'd rather have it accessible. But it's kind of buried in this little cutout here, so you really have a hard time. I have a hard time, and the lock bar I have a hard time getting to. This was just, I wanted to have something I could put in my shirt pocket. I wanted another option for carrying. It was a lot of hype back in the day. Maybe this will go in a giveaway. I don't have it set for giveaway at this point, but maybe somebody will get it and like it. But then there's always the chance that they're going to give it to somebody and they're going to think the same thing about it that I do. I mean, it works, but yeah, for me, and I don't like to think of myself as being the guy as the expert, and everybody else that disagrees with me is just wrong. I don't want to be that guy. One more in this one that is the CEO on my spreadsheet is $40 even. I love this knife. Kubi, man, this is maybe one of my favorite. Well, one of my favorites. You see some other more premium ones in my collection, but this is just cool. I love that shape. So stabby, so good in the hand. What I've always said about this knife is that I just grab it out of the pocket and it like almost flies open by itself. It's a D2 blade. This is D2, by the way, and so is this one. Yeah, it just snaps out. Oh man, it is smaller than I like, but I'm not quite falling off. I'm kind of got the pinky on the little end ramp there, that little chamfer on the end. But my hand sinks in. Oh, see, that CEO got me. Just trying to get my thumb in there. Jeez, that damn CEO. It's going in the giveaway pile. Anyway, let's not dwell on that. Just keep moving. The show must go on, and we're almost there. This is the KU122. This one is one of those no-name things, but I remember this one because I like it so much. KU122. Liner lock, D2 blade, spear point. I call that spear point. I don't know. People can argue. G10 handles. Kubi does amazing. G10. Anyway, I'm having fun, guys. I hope you don't mind that these are so long. This one's even longer than the $30 knife one. I think as I go along, I get more excited about the knives and I end up talking more about them. This is a cool bunch of knives. We'll get to this one later. Sorry about that. And I will wrap it up now because I'm just going on and on and on and on. But that's just the way I am. All right, guys. You guys take care. I'll see you. I'm going to be finishing up my fourth Faulkner 5 coming up. I'm trying to film that today and get it out today or tomorrow. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.